Yeah, it's just been lots of amazing sightings so far. It'll be interesting to see as the summer progresses and the rains come to see how many more animals come out. And yeah, right now Peace is kind of panning around looking for any other signs of life right now and kind of showing some of the pan. Yeah. Alright.
Yeah, and for those of you also that were watching yesterday, it was quite interesting. It was actually the first time I saw vultures at the waterhole. Actually, there was, and it looked like one of the vultures still had some, I don't know, maybe even a piece of sinew or anything in its mouth. So it looked like there might have been a carcass close by, maybe the buffalo carcass that the lions were on, that they'd left it alone. Today when we came there were lots of, white-backed and also hooded vultures in the tree. Hooded vultures again indicating that the carcass is almost finished, because they are typically the cleanup crew, so to say. Because with their little bit thinner beaks, they're a bit smaller, they can actually pick out the last things from between the ribs. There was still enough, I think, meat left for them, but and what was interesting to see as well, I spoke to Peter about that. We didn't mention it actually when we were at the sighting, but there were lots of insect-eating birds flying overhead. We saw lots of swallows, some rollers flying there, and of course they must have come because the buffalo carcass is getting quite old, so that would have attracted lots of flies and other flying insects. And it was actually interesting to see that even at a carcass like that, something you often don't think about. And you think about the mammals and the hyenas and even the vultures as birds, but also as insect-eating birds, they will actually benefit from a carcass like that. And of course, the insects themselves as well. They lay their eggs in there and in the meat, and then the larvae come out and they can have the next generation as well, which is not always as pleasant for us, but that's the cycle of nature, and they are food again for the birds that we do enjoy. So that was quite nice to see that as well. And then also yesterday evening we had I'm not sure whether they were at the waterhole before, but the red-billed buffalo weaver, one of the little five, that was also at the waterhole. A black bird with a little whitish stripe on the wing and a big red bill, hence the name. And that's the bird that's actually nesting in that tree over there. Those nests are red-billed buffalo weaver nests. I'm not sure whether they're using exactly those nests, but I suspect they are actually. And they came down to the water to drink, so it's nice to see those as well. So a couple of new birds yesterday at the waterhole. That was quite interesting. There was fortunately a lot of things going on at the waterhole because there was no drive, so that about made up for it, I think. So yeah, that was quite good. What else did we see this morning? Yeah, the nice purple roller that Peter spotted. We saw some other birds as well, but it's very tricky to zoom in on birds before they fly off. Because you look at them and then you look at your viewfinder and then you must see where your viewfinder is pointing, and then it's quite it's quite complicated, so it takes a bit of time. But I think we were able to show you a couple of them at least. And it was good to see the blue waxbills. I really like that bird. It's one of the few actually really bluish birds, and I think we just got a shot of it just before it flew off for a little bit, so that was quite cool. Actually, I like the fact that it seems like more and more we're focusing on birds as well, a little bit on the drives. It's not like I told people to do that, but maybe by me being into birds, people started just thinking and looking for them a little bit more. So that's always nice, I think, especially if you don't see too many other things. It's just if you can get a little birdie, even like that one, the Cape Turtle Dove, or ring-necked dove, as it's called in, I believe, the UK and America, but it's the same bird. I think a couple of nights ago we got it in very low sunshine, which actually made its feathers almost glow a bit. It's a very pretty bird. It's a bit neglected because it's so common. It's a bit like the impala of the bird family, but it's still in its own right. It's an interesting bird, and in the right light, it's very, very, very pretty indeed. But just because we see so many of them, we tend to lose our appreciation for it. That's actually a pity. Yeah, there we go.
Some questions coming in on the chat room.
The chat room. Okay, let's see.
I think there was one up a little bit. Question.
Somebody asks, it's Mike and the kids, whether the drives will be cut down to 1/3 by the rain. Well, that depends on the time of day, but if it rains during drive time, then we can't go out because our system is not waterproof. It's probably what you would call splash proof. So if you get a couple of drops here and there, then that's fine. But it's all electricity. We have some 220 volt systems, and we've covered them a little bit, but it's definitely not. Well, let's say we can't guarantee that it's going to survive a downpour without shorting, and we definitely want to avoid that because we've had a couple of those issues, not to do with rain, but rather skip a drive and do something from the waterhole than break down a lot of equipment, which is very expensive and takes some time to replace. So, yeah, it's going to depend on how much rain we get and at which time of the days it falls. But yeah, I don't know what from experience, but 1/3, yeah, it could be that. Let's say we miss a couple of drives per week, but that's gonna, as I said, again, be very dependent on how much rain we get and when it's gonna fall. Would there be much left of the baby Nyala? I'm not sure what this baby Nyala, because Peter asked one of the other guides about it this morning, and he didn't seem to be aware of it. So I'm not sure whether there was actually a baby Nyala as Rexon thought, or whether there was a miscommunication between some of the guides there. Nobody seemed to have seen actually the carcass, so I'm not sure what happened with that. Whether the lions will stay in the area, well, I have to quote Peter on this one, because also he knows a lot more about it than I do. He suspects that after tonight the lions will probably move off. They will start, or not move off in the sense, but they will, also with the rain, their scent markings have gone, so they will have to start scent marking again. The carcass is almost finished, so they will start moving around again, which means they could move back further east, so which means they move out of the area. They could move west, which means they stay in our area. That's difficult to predict, but they're likely going to be on the move. Which way they will go, that remains to be seen. Given that they are lions from the north, they might go back there, or maybe there's a reason that they came south from there, so and they will keep moving further south. I guess we'll just have to see over the next couple of days whether they stay in the area or whether they actually move out of the area. I hope they're going to stay because they're really beautiful lions. Ems is asking about ostrich. Yeah, there was actually one thing I noticed. I didn't see any ostrich here. I'm not sure whether it's maybe not the right habitat, or because there's no reason why the ostriches can't move here from Kruger or something. But it's something I actually was planning to check out why. And it can be for really special or simple reasons. I noticed when one time we were actually traveling through Kruger, a bit further in the south, similar to areas here, there were lots of warthogs, and then you drive further north, and then just it's a type of tree or vegetation that changes, and suddenly no warthogs at all, not one. And that's like sometimes a very sharp demarcation line between that, and that can just be one food source or anything. But yeah, I'm definitely going to look into the ostrich thing, and I'll come back on that, because I was thinking that as well. But I don't know if there's a specific reason. I know, well, basically the whole of South Africa was in the original distribution range of ostriches. And given that they are in the Kruger Park in certain areas, I actually would be interested. I'll see if I can find out and maybe mention it on one of the future chats or in the We Learn or something like that. So, somebody saw one in Elephant Plains, so yeah, they are in the area. But the thing with ostriches is, I would assume that the one in Elephant Plains is also a wild one. Sometimes also in smaller areas people have not really tame ostriches, but ostriches that they keep close to the areas, they feed them a little bit. Given that Elephant Plains is within the Sabi Sands area, I don't suspect they do that, because that's not typically the way they work here. But yeah, we'll find out. I was actually thinking about another animal now. I was going to say something.